Hey, Kevin here, Top 100 Financial Advisor, two-time author, one-time bestseller, and we are here to talk about the stock market. So today I want to answer a question that someone asked in the comments, or maybe it was in the direct messages. I don't remember where they asked the question. The question was really good. And basically the question boiled down to, isn't it better for me if I'm looking to make money to put my money in a penny stock and get as many shares as possible and get a huge gain and then take that and go put it somewhere else? Because it doesn't make sense. There's pretty much their words I'm summarizing here. It doesn't make sense for me to have 0.5 shares when I can have 66. It doesn't make sense for me to have 0.1 share when I can have 1,000 somewhere else. So I want to break that down and show where a lot of new investors make mistakes and some things that we don't always realize about companies that are really cheap. Now, I say this because, again, I've done this, right? I've managed over $140 million. I've managed dozens and dozens and dozens of millionaires. I know exactly what they were investing in, and I made suggestions as to how to make them better investors, which is how we got here. I've been in the investing space for 10 years. Okay, so really it'll be 11 in September. So it's not something that I'm just throwing out there. It's because I have seen it and I know what is most common. And my job, and I think most people say, look, if this is the most common route to become financially wealthy, financially successful, to have financial freedom, I want to take that route. Whatever route's got the 90% success rate, that's where I'm going. I don't want to take the one that has a 2% success rate. And that's why I think most penny stocks lead you to. It looks really easy. It looks really fun, but there's a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of people who are very successful at doing it. Keyword, consistently. Consistently is the thing. All right, so I'm gonna break this down. We're gonna look at a few companies, and I'm gonna break everything down for you. You know, my handwriting ain't all that great. We're gonna deal with it. All right, so let's go ahead and share the screen. And before I do that, let me explain what a penny stock is. So for those who are new, a penny stock is usually anything that is $5 or below. It is a reason a company is that cheap. You don't find a PS5 at Dollar General. You just don't. You're not going to get that there. So the next Amazon, the next Google, you're probably not going to find it in a place like that where it's super, super cheap. Now, some people will tell you, well, every company had to start somewhere. You are right. It starts at the IPO price, which is not $5. So in most cases, right, very rarely does it start off at $5. It starts at the IPO price, which depending on the company, could be 100, could be 200, could be 25. You can go back and look and see exactly what a lot of these companies' IPO prices were. But every company doesn't start off at $1 and then take off and become the next Amazon. That's not how it works. So let me go ahead and break this down now. And here we go. So on the left-hand side, you see a penny stock. This is Sundial. It is the cannabis company. It was real popular last week, not so much this week. You'll find out why. And on the right-hand side, we have Google. Y'all know the deal with Google. All right, so the first mistake that people make is saying, well, look, you know, if I invest $100 today, right? So if I invest $100 in Sundial, then I can get 66 shares. Boom, I got 66 shares of this company. If it goes up $1, if it goes up to $3, I've doubled my money. I'm really, really rich. Well, I invested $100, but I went from 100 to 200. That is awesome for me. But if I did the same thing with Google and I invested just $100, I would have like 0.047 shares and 0.047 shares. That's not fun. Why would I do that, right? If I can get something here for 66 shares, that is automatically better for me because I have more shares. That's not actually the case. The number of shares in most contexts don't really matter. If you're just investing $100, you want to grow the $100, what difference does it make if you got 66 shares versus 100? You only have $100 right now. Now, the thing is, can I get this to 200? Which one of these companies are going to be better and easier for me as an investor to do that? That depends, right? I would venture to tell you that Sundial will probably double in price before Google does. I mean, that's because it's harder, right? It's very, very difficult to go from $2,000 per share, 2,100 to 4,200, than to go from just $1.50 to $3. That, I mean, that's logical, right? But what is the risk here? What is the risk is what we need to figure out. So what I'm going to do right now is share this other screen of Yahoo Finance to really kind of break down some of the risk and things that you need to know. So I'm gonna share it here. This is Sundial. Sundial wasn't really doing anything. In fact, if you look at it here in that left-hand box, you'll see that it was down 56% at one point in the last 6 months. Then things started to improve, and all of a sudden, it popped up and it was up 589%. This is when most people look into it. This is when most people, when it becomes popular, when it's trending on any app that you have, when it's on the bottom of the ticker and say, hey, look, this is the best stock today. It was up almost 600%. And by the time that the average person looks at it, guess what? It's already down. From that point, you're up 600. Now you're only up 200. And this is if you had invested way back in August. Now, if you invested $100, $1,000 on February 10th, so 9 days ago, you would have already lost a good chunk of that money. And that's the thing that you have to worry about, or at least have on your radar. It sounds great, but it's all about when you get in and how long you stay in, if you're ready and willing to take that. Because if go back to GameStop, go back to AMC, there are people, you can go through Reddit because it's still there. People were saying the GameStop was going to go to $1,000 per share. It started off at $4. They said it's going to go to $1,000. So those who got in at 300, those who got in at 400, 450, 475, they thought, look, if I get in at 475, it's going to go to 1,000. I am still going to make money. That is not what happened. And as we know, I don't know what GameStop is today, but I'll pull it up. It's down to $40 right now. That's the kicker that everybody doesn't talk about. If you could have gotten in back here, yeah, that would have been awesome for you. You still would be up, even though you lost a lot of money. You'd still be up because you would have got in at, what is this, $19, and you would have doubled and been at 40. But the majority of people, by the time it hits CNBC, by the time we're talking about it, you know, what is, I can't see because my face is in the way. So what is 347? It's going to go to 1,000. You got a bunch of rocket emojis. And it didn't happen, did it? Right. So you always gotta have that in context. High risk, high reward. These penny stocks, little cheap companies that you are expecting to just explode in value overnight, or in a day, or in 2 days or 3 days, that risk is very high. On the flip side, even though I have, in this case, $100, which is 0.47 shares, I have a smoother ride. It's not perfect, but a much smoother ride to the top, with 34% gain. So I would have invested 100, got 134, which is vastly better than the S&P 500 and vastly better than your bank account, which is paying you basically nothing right now and not going to pay you really for the next 2 years. So you always have to compare the risk versus reward and the timing. You know that Google is going to be a good company. They've been around not for forever, but you know they going to be here. You know, YouTube TV, Google Search, Gmail, the Android phones, they're going to be here. You don't know, most of us don't know anything about Sundial and whether this company had existed before 2 weeks ago, right? And the good thing too, the longer I invest, usually the better off I am. If I held this for 5 years, we're looking at 200%. So the money would have more than doubled. And if you had consistently added more, you'd be even better off. But the money would have doubled during that time. It's something you should consider. So again, it's all about the way I look at it. And let me take the share off. The way I look at it is possibility versus probability. It is possible to put a good chunk of your money in penny stocks and they double every 2 weeks, and you take that and you put it in Google, Microsoft, and Apple and what have you, and then you're taking that risk, you're taking those big gains, you're paying off your student loans, and boom, you're putting in solid companies, and you get to sit back and relax. That is possible. Is it probable? No. That's just the facts of it. Why sit here and risk the $100 I have and lose 50% in a day which is what we saw with GameStop and AMC and Tilray and BlackBerry. Like, we see this happen all the time. We're losing 25%, 50%, 60% in a day versus putting your money in something that is more solid and that we know for a fact is still going to be here and that we know has a much greater likelihood of being here for the long term. It's all great, right? If you can hit that major pop, but it doesn't happen. And for the one time that you do hit it, there are 50 different times that you did not. And you only have but so much money. So for example, if you jumped in a sundial, you put in 100, you lost, now you have $60. Now you're going to try and take that $60 and do something else, and maybe it works. And if that doubles, or you do well, you go from 60 to 80, then you take it, you do it again, and you go from 80 to 40. Then what? Right? So that's the other thing that you have to worry about. Is those losses are much, much bigger, and they come much, much faster than what they would with a very large, solid, what we call blue chip company. So wanted to explain that. Let me know what you think. Go ahead and share this. My goal is 10. That's just like the standard now. We can hit 10 shares. That ain't much. That would be great. Also, make sure that you check out my free class, because I do teach free classes. That'll be buildingbread.com/free class. So I'll put that link above, below, wherever you're watching. All right. So that is it for me. I wanted to kind of break that down, let you guys know what's what. At the end, that's what it comes down to at the end of the day: possibility versus probability. Which one is really going to be here? Which one is really going to be solid? Because if it pops, great. That's a big if. And will you have enough money? And could you sustain that type of loss, just like we saw with Sundial and Kodak and GameStop and everything else? Everybody's not suited to watch something go from $400 a share basically down to 40 within what? Was it been 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe? So you got to pay attention to that. All right, that's it for me. I'll talk to you guys later.